What you're seeing on screen right now is the final level of Celeste. If you're not familiar, Celeste is a 2018 platformer whose beautiful pixel art, fantastic soundtrack, and enjoyable gameplay placed it cleanly among the favorite games of all time lists of many, myself included. A major contributor to this widespread enjoyment was the game's intense difficulty. That statement's not just me being bad at video games, by the way. I googled it. Apparently it's harder than Dark Souls, and I did my research, so you can't say I'm wrong. Unfortunately, after over 100 hours, even the most difficult of obstacles can become routine. I've completed every last challenge the game has to offer. All that is, except for one. At the beginning of every level lies this little golden strawberry, and as you've probably guessed from the video title, victory requires bringing it all the way to the end without dying a single time. Now, I know this footage on screen doesn't make that look like too much of an issue, but I need you to understand something. That's not me. This is Redditor DrDimentio, who chronicled their journey of getting every strawberry, including the golden ones, in all of Celeste back in 2019. You can find the Reddit post linked in the description. This is me. I will not be able to get all the golden strawberries in this game. But I've challenged myself to at least get all the ones from the first 7 chapters, which cover the journey to the top of the titular Celeste Mountain and constitute beating the base game. And, be warned, for what is effectively a deathless run, I am going to be dying a lot. But surely not on the first level, right? I mean, it's the literal tutorial for the game. If I mess this up, there's no way I'm beating the whole... Okay, we got some work to do. Celeste is a simple game, controls-wise. You can run, jump, climb, the standard things you would expect from a platformer, but most importantly, you have a dash. Despite its simplicity, this little burst of movement is the most important tool you have in your kit. You can only use it once before your hair gets all blue and sad, only returning to normal once you land back on the ground. This means your dash is a precious resource that cannot be wasted and must be used with intention and precision. Not like that. The dash opens up some fancy movement tech that can be comprehensively explained by people who are not me, but just know that it has more applications than you might initially think. While your moveset may be static and simple, the levels you go through are not. Every chapter of this game has its own unique set of mechanics that repeat throughout the level. From strong winds to pinball bouncers to these mechanics can be pretty much anything. The main mechanic of the first chapter are these platforms. Standing or grabbing onto these platforms causes them to move to the other end of their track very quickly. Yes, they can crush you, and no, I did not make that mistake, I'm not that bad. By using these platforms correctly, you can not only ride the platform as far as it'll go, but also use your momentum to fly past it. Just be careful, because... yeah. Quick reminder that every time I die, I have to do the entire level over again. Fortunately, these 3 deaths that I've already shown you are the only 3 I experienced. With the first golden strawberry successfully obtained, I moved on to the second level. The unique mechanic of the second chapter isn't actually available to you at the start. First, you have to cross this room, so you cross this room, and on the other side you find this mirror. What's that? Why is your reflection purple? Why has she escaped the mirror? Should you be afraid? I'll get to it later, and also yes, but what's important are these things that have unlocked all over the level. These space blocks act as any other platform, allowing you to walk on top or climb up their sides. However, if you dash into one of them, you will pass through to the other end, regaining your dash in the process. This is honestly one of my favorite mechanics in the game, and the movement available to you when multiple of these things are in one place could honestly be an entire game on its own. Be careful though, if there's a wall on the other end of the space block, you kind of just die. So remember like 10 seconds ago when your purple-haired reflection escaped the mirror dimension earlier? She's back, and her name is Madeline. Oh, the main character's name is Madeline, by the way. So the weird evil mirror version of them is Bad-the-line? Crazy, I know. So as your reflection, Madeline can do anything you can. She spawns right behind you when the level starts and copies every one of your actions, chasing you down. Coming into contact with Madeline is instantly fatal, but I'm warmed up at this point, and I can handle a simple reflection. Oh, there's 3 of her now. Okay, that's more difficult. But as this is only the second level, the game isn't going to throw anything too challenging at me yet. Pausing to praise the game again, I have to compliment how the difficulty of this level fluctuates depending on the player's skill. The faster you travel through the rooms, the faster your pursuer is, meaning even after all the time I've put into this game, this chapter can still feel dangerous, especially as more and more copies of Battleline get added. Not as dangerous as that one room I died in at the start, though. I still don't understand what I was doing there. Anyways, eventually we somehow do manage to outrun our own reflection and reach the end of the chapter. Man, only 6 deaths and 2 out of 7 levels are already done. Maybe this won't be so bad. Okay, it's fine. Apparently chapter 2 is all a dream or something. It doesn't matter. What does matter is this guy. His name is Oshiro, and he runs the hotel this level is located in. Oh, and he's dead, which explains why his hotel is absolute garbage. Unlike the previous chapters, where the unique mechanics are there to help you move throughout the level, here the unique mechanic is made to kill you. This fuzzy red stuff initially appears to just be a retexture of the spikes from previous chapters, but soon it starts growing out of the walls and flying through the air, making getting anywhere in this level an absolute nightmare. And then there's the trash room. God, I hate the trash room. It's filled to the brim with useless walls and platforms, making it a chore just to get through. 3 times, you have to traverse a short obstacle course to clean up a third of the junk, eventually giving you access to the key in the middle you used to move on. A few rooms and locked doors later, you reach the presidential suite. Despite Oshiro's best attempts to get us to stay, we break out through the roof with the help of Battleline, who does not go easy on the hotel owner. I mean, to be fair, the hotel was really bad. Large parts of the floor were missing, there was a massive mess that we had to clean up, not to mention the ooze floating around that was actively trying to kill us. Uh-oh. Unwilling to accept my 1-star review of his hotel, Oshiro decides I'm not allowed to leave and tries to bite my head off. This, unfortunately, leads to my first death this chapter, but hey, that was the very end of the level. If I got that far in my first run, this chapter should be even easier than the first 2. Foreshadowing is a literary device in which I ran through the level, cleaning 1 to 3 parts of the junk room, go through the path to reach Oshiro, and okay, that was dumb on my part, but again, I enter the hotel and it's fine. I died 3 times in the other levels too. I just need to... Okay, come on, I'm better than this. I just need to get past the stupid trash room and I'll... No, I'm not this bad. At this point, I was admittedly getting a little frustrated. To the point where I hadn't even remembered to grab the strawberry when I started the run, and died only a few seconds in. Between not being able to reach the same point as the first run, dying in completely avoidable ways, and needing to run through the stupid trash room every time... Okay. Point is, I needed a bit of a break. In the form of a history lesson. Please don't leave. Introducing Celeste for the Pico 8. Back in August of 2015, game developers Maddie Thorson and Noel Berry created this game for a 4-day competition. While it was later developed into the Celeste that I've been playing through in this video, this initial prototype has been put in its entirety into the 3rd chapter, hidden at the end of this path in the junk room. Needing a way to stop myself from diving straight into the fuzzy red ooze over and over again, I made my way to this little minigame and started playing. My time spent running through this even pixelier version didn't just give me time to relax, though, it gave me time to think. I'd been clearing the trash room in whatever random way I felt like, but clearly that wasn't working for me anymore. Eliminating trash from the main room also clears it from other sections, removing helpful platforms and revealing deadly pits of red fuzz, so I needed to decide the order in which I would tackle them with more intention. The path on the top was easy, so I should do that one last. The paths for the other 2 were about even in difficulty, but the platforms the one on the bottom provided weren't as helpful, so I should do that one. Oh, hey, I won. Armed with my new strategy, I blazed through the entire level in a flash. Just as planned, I cleared the bottom path first, and then the middle path fell before my amazing... Okay, so maybe a new strategy wasn't going to win me the whole level on the first try. Or the second. Or the 3rd, but running through the Pico 8 minigame had detilted me. No matter how many times I failed, no matter how many mistakes I made, I would keep throwing myself at the level relentlessly, over and over until success was within my... Oh, hey, I won. Cool. Then Oshiro broke the platform and Madeline fell to her death at the end. False alarm, we're alive. Madeline doesn't believe in fall damage. Now we find ourselves in the 4th chapter, and honestly, I really like this one. The color palette is warm and relaxing, the music is nice and peaceful, even the instant death spikes are a light shade of blue, a stark contrast to the red and black from the previous level. The mechanics also feel relaxing, with these nice soft clouds giving you a bounce into the air, these jiggly green bubbles that give you an extra little dash, and these platforms that move smoothly and slowly in a direction, helping you along to your destination. Coming from the previous level, this was just the kind of relaxing, simple time I was looking for. Oh, except I had almost twice the number of deaths on this level than all the previous ones combined. This sizable death count can be attributed directly to the other two mechanics in the level. Most of the time. Starting with the simpler one, the wind. Unlike the other mechanics, the wind does not want you to reach the end of the level. It makes all forward progress significantly slower, and adjusting to the different jump distances this caused took a fair few of my lives. In certain rooms, the wind will turn around and blow to the right, speeding you up instead of slowing you down. This would be great if it didn't decide to start and stop on a whim, leaving it up to your reaction speed to adjust at the last moment to land on the tiny little platform you were aiming for. But the wind is nowhere close to as bad as the other mechanic. Snowballs. These don't appear until the last few rooms of the level, and thank God for it, because if these were present throughout the entire thing, I don't think I'd have the motivation to finish it. Basically behaving like Oshiro from the previous level, except from the right side of the screen instead of the left, these snowballs will hurt you. Making them worse is the wind, which gets turned up to 11, making it practically impossible to make any forwards progress without dashing. The combination of these two obstacles halted my progress in this challenge for over an hour as I got pelted in the face with snowball after snowball after snowball after snowball. Having the toughest mechanic introduced at the very end of the level did make the challenge of not dying get a little tedious at times. With each death, I had to spend 8 or so minutes making my way back through, only to die and begin the cycle anew. Fortunately, Celeste's levels are made in a way that I find it really hard to get bored of. Between the numerous deaths, I got a real appreciation for the care and effort put into the designs of each individual screen. Some of them, like this one, even helped alleviate the monotony by offering me multiple valid paths, even if that experimentation sometimes got me killed. A part of the design that I found a special appreciation for was how the developers made going as fast as possible as fun as possible. Doing the rooms optimally hardly ever requires waiting around, and walls like this are perfectly positioned to let you jump off them to reach your goal more quickly, even though climbing them would be simpler. This made every consecutive attempt at that annoying snowball-filled blizzard at the end go just a little bit faster. Speaking of faster, the super strong winds that reduce your speed by 90% turn around right at the last few rooms of the chapter, increasing your speed by a full 100. After trudging through screen after screen of painfully slow, plan-heavy movements, these high-speed rooms that tested your reaction speed every second were a relief to play through, except for that one time they killed me. But come the second attempt and I was out. And hey, some guy named Theo's here too. Look at him go, I love this guy. So they trapped Theo in a cage and surrounded him with eldritch Cthulhu monsters that want me dead, and I'm mad about it. Okay, welcome to the Mirror Temple, the only level in the game more hostile than Oshiro's premium hospitality. At least he lit the place. In this chapter, just seeing which ways forwards is a challenge. Getting lost is an inevitable part of progression here, with numerous side rooms and dead ends that lead away from the main path. Even having cleared this level multiple times in the past, I still got lost on my way to the exit. At least the mechanics are fun though. These platforms are reminiscent of those from the first level, moving and launching you forwards, but are now activated by your dash. Add them to the floating red balls that travel for as long as you let them until they hit a wall, and the movement you get in this area is rather entertaining. Honestly, once you figure out where you're going, this level's not all that bad. Oh, except for these guys. I hate these guys. They aren't super complicated, all they do is rush at you and occasionally break blocks, but in a game where pretty much all of your obstacles are stationary, or at least on rails, an enemy with the potential to go literally anywhere on the screen can be a big problem. I don't care how hard avoiding these guys looks to you, it was a real challenge for me, and these monsters ended way too many of my attempts. The only other thing that killed me as much as these guys was this wall. I don't know. These are all different clips. Anyways, following a trend of putting the most annoying mechanics towards the end, Cthulhu's children only begin their attempts at scrambling my brain in the second half of the level. This means I became very, very familiar with the first half, and honestly, that was probably my favorite part. As I went through reset after reset, the darkened, maze-like paths of the level kind of lost their mystery. I knew exactly where I was going, what doors were dead ends, and even discovered a few shortcuts that let me skip fairly significant portions of the level. This was the first chapter in which I felt I was truly mastering the mechanics the game was presenting to me, and that includes the demon guys. I mean, most of the time, anyways. I still have a bit to work on. Okay, I cleared this room like 10 times just fine. This time specifically, it was just, I don't know. But that room aside, after a bit, I had these guys' patterns down, squeezing right by their hitboxes, using them as stools, even using them to hit switches for me. When I wasn't busy hitting the retry button when trying to skip a cutscene or running into this wall again, I was golden. But the level had one more trick to throw at me. Theo. Theo has found himself trapped inside of a rock and needs us to carry him out. Unfortunately, the way out is filled with even more Cthulhu babies, and while Theo can't get hurt by them, they sure don't give me a break just because I'm escorting along a friend. Fortunately, I'd been dealing with these guys for about an hour at this point, so with the help of Theo the projectile, I made it to the final room of this section on my first try. Now, this room is simple, a few demon babies, some of the dash-activated platforms, nothing too crazy, but I was nervous. This is the last room in the entire level, and dying here would mean doing the whole thing over again. Theo's throwable quality came in handy a few more times, and things were going decently well till I... just killed Cthulhu. Yeah, apparently if you crush these guys with the dash platforms, they just go away, and you can go through the level Eldritch Horror free. Would have honestly been nice to know beforehand. But with the last room cleared, Theo sacrificed his precious rock cage to fly into this giant eyeball, embracing his inner projectile one last time. This ended the level, getting us a 5th golden strawberry, and with only 23 deaths. Now, a bit of transparency here, this is not the first time I've tried to do this challenge. I know, the YouTuber is lying to you. Oh no, it's for dramatic effect, okay? However, my previous attempt had ended here at the Mirror Temple. I'd tried for hours and hours to beat this level to no avail, so to clear it now, and in less deaths than the level before it as well, I was feeling great. I'd gotten so much better at the game, and there were only 2 levels left. I honestly felt unstoppable. 126. That is twice the number of deaths from all the previous levels combined. So when I tell you that I died 176 times in this level, I hope it puts into perspective the difficulty spike I faced here. I had a lot of confidence in myself going into this level, and I had significantly less when I booted up the game 2 days later, still facing the exact same wall. This chapter marked a key difference in how I felt I was progressing. Previously, if I made a mistake, I would do my best to avoid making that specific mistake again, and was successful for the most part. Yeah, I did this like 5 times. I'm moving on now. This chapter was different. Aside from the obvious problem with remembering over 100 different deaths, this chapter placed a far greater emphasis on mechanical skill. I could remember what I was supposed to do just fine, but that wouldn't stop me from failing run after run to mistimed jumps and dashes. These blue pinball bumper things launch you hard, the direction and speed changing drastically depending on the angle you hit them at and where you're pointing the movement joystick. This means hitting them too high could send you flying into the spiky ceiling, and too low would send you crashing down into a pit. The difficulty involved with hitting these things just right compounded with their habit of killing you instantly if you made a mistake, ending run after run, even down to the last few attempts. They weren't the only new mechanic that caused me trouble, though. These feathers initially look super helpful, allowing you free flight in any direction for a limited time, but the obstacle courses the game makes you navigate with these required enough precision to send me back to the start more times than I'm comfortable admitting. Several of the rooms would have you chaining multiple feathers together midair to cross even greater distances, and missing a feather by even an inch would likely spell certain death. They proved to be at their worst, however, when combined with the bumpers. Weaving past these things while going at recklessly high speeds never got easier, and then they started moving. I believe this room in particular took more of my lives than any other room in the entire challenge. Not all the new additions in this level are out to hurt me as badly as those two, though. Another enjoyable mechanic is introduced in this level, almost a combination of the moving platforms from the first level and the Mirror Temple. These angry-looking blocks also move when you dash, but only if your dash connects with one of their sides. They then travel in whatever direction you hit them from until they hit a wall, offering you plenty of momentum to fling yourself forwards across gaps too large to cross normally. I can't say they didn't lead to any of my deaths, as they don't stop moving even if you happen to be between them and the nearest wall, but they didn't require the precision the other mechanics demanded. Riding on them could even prove peaceful at times. Oh, what's the weird purple tendril stuff I'm chasing after here? Well, that's, the second half. Surely you didn't think pinball machines and feathers would cause me to die such a ludicrous number of times? No. While I admit they were the most challenging obstacles so far, they pale in comparison to the gauntlet that is the battle line fight. Remember back in the second chapter when they would chase after us? Well, now the roles have been reversed, and we're the ones giving chase. Unfortunately, instead of just admitting defeat upon losing our little game of tag, they decide to run to the opposite end of the screen and activate their hair lasers. The platforming in this section on its own isn't the most challenging, but add in a barrage of projectiles from Battle Line and a ceiling that simply will not stop collapsing, and things start getting very, very difficult. And remember, this comes after you complete the entire first half of the chapter, meaning you have to go through at least 8 minutes of difficult platforming without making any fatal mistakes every time you want to attempt this fight. That doesn't mean it's impossible, though. After all, developers design games with the intention of players beating them, at least most of the time. As crazy and unfair as this maze of spikes and lasers could get, there was always a path through them, without exception. Eventually, I got past every obstacle thrown at me, and Battle Line stopped attacking. I just needed to reach the end of the room and... Wait, what? No. Throwing this in right at the end is just mean, you know? With some helpful suggestions from Battle Line, the ceiling has now figured out how to uncollapse, and boy is it excited to show us. There's already so much going on, adding in all these moving platforms provided way too much for me to keep track of, time after time, and I ended up getting crushed more often than not. I mean, like, come on, lasers, falling platforms, feathers, bouncers, unfalling platforms, it's just... This part is just... my favorite part of the entire game! No, like, honestly, the way you have to dodge and weave between everything as fast as you can while your screen fills with all these crazy visuals, just... Ooh! And the music! If I edited this right, you should be listening to it right now, and it is perfect! This game has a lot of good music and a lot of good moments, but this one takes the cake easily. Just a perfect mixing of gameplay and sound, just everything about it. So good. If I'd been bashing my head against anything else for all those attempts, I honestly might have given up, but there's no way I could ever get tired of this fight, no matter how many times I had to work my way back to it. But sadly, all good things must come to an end, and on attempt number 177, it was done. Madeline finally tagged Battle Line, and she responded appropriately by undergoing reverse mitosis and fusing with Madeline, dyeing her hair a bright pink in the process. Armed with her new hair color and an extra dash, courtesy of emotional acceptance, it was time to take one more step.
Get on to rock, get up to burn, stand with the pride, ever feel your desire. One day I noticed that my life was broken. It was not me who was controlling this body. Oh, I want to know what's really real to me before it vanishes like a wave. Get on the rock, get up the burn, stand with the pride on me, the ways to make her. You must have heard it. Grasp the truth, hold it high, ride the beats, that's what this makes us start with. You haven't heard it, girl. Don't be afraid to listen to your own heart. Beat the sonic, that's my heartbeat in you.
And that's it. I've climbed all the way to the top of Celeste Mountain without dying a single time. Okay, technically I died a lot, but you know what I mean. This video took like 2 months to put together, from completing the challenge to recording the script to figuring out how in the world video editing works. I know it's not exactly the most well-made thing out there, but I'm hoping I get better as I go along. If anyone ends up watching this, especially if you get to this bit at the end, thanks for sticking around, and I'd love to see a comment saying what I could do better in the next one. But yeah, for now, see ya.